I'm delighted to welcome Debi John, who is the founder of PlayHealing CIC, and you are a play and parenting consultant. Debi, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
So the first question is obvious. What is a play and parenting consultant?
Well, a play and parenting consultant is someone who consults in these two areas. So I specialize in the power of play and how we can integrate play into the workplace, integrate play into our busy lives. And also I specialize, because I've worked for many, many years, working with parents. So there's that special niche there. I used to call myself a parent coach. And before that, I was a play therapist and a teacher for about 20 years. But now I call it consultant because I feel it really reflects the way I work.
So you were a teacher for many years. Did you say 20 years?
Yeah. So I was teaching music. I went and then trained. I did a music degree, did secondary music teaching for probably about 12, 15 years. And then I did about 5 to 7 years of primary teaching as well. So I've taught from having a reception class, 34 and 5-year-olds in a class, to teaching GCSE music, and every single year in between, whether that's as a supply teacher or coming and taking the whole year.
Goodness me, that's amazing. And you barely look 12 yourself, Debi.
It was quite funny when I started. Sometimes I got mistaken for a pupil, not gonna lie, but yeah, it's they keep you young, isn't it? I think when you hang out with young people, they've got this beautiful energy about them. And I think there's that lovely quote that I always say about, we don't grow old because we grow old because we stop playing. And I'm sure we're going to talk about the power of play and how we can continue to play right into our older age.
Yes, yeah. The older I get, the naughtier I get. I don't know if that's playing or just been, my mischievous sense of humour. So you started off as a teacher then, and when did you turn into a consultant? Was there a magic point, or did something happen, or was it a gradual morph into the consultancy piece?
Yes, I've only been calling myself a consultant for maybe 1 or 2 years, but I've been doing that kind of work for a lot longer. I started PlayHealing CIC over 3 years ago now, birthed from this transition. I thought I would be a play therapist for the rest of my life. That was the plan, going from teacher, retrain to be a play therapist, and then work in the therapy room with all sorts of children from all sorts of backgrounds, maybe travel and do play therapy abroad and stuff. And that's what I expected to do when I started that postgrad. However, when I started to study attachment, I started to find out about trauma, the autonomic nervous system, polyvagal theory, all these kinds of things. It made me step back, and all the training I had as a play therapist made me think, oh my goodness, gosh, I wish I'd known this when my children were younger, because my kids are now 14 and 16. So it was a real shift, and I had to really go with my gut and think, where am I going to be most effective in this world? I can either have, as parents throw their child into therapy with me for 1 hour a week and ask me to fix their child, and yes, I can develop a wonderfully secure attachment for that hour a week, and we can help that child to process. And therapy is important. For some children, it's a vital piece of their recovery. So I want to be clear about that. However, with my kind of character, I'm sure if I did a disc profile, one of the things is it's all about, I love sharing ideas, and I'm still that teacher. I'm still that teacher inside. So sharing the things that I learned along the way is a big passion of mine. And if I can give the tools to the parent who is with that child all of the time, then surely that's going to have a bigger impact on that child, because a parent is, I call it, the environment around the child. Yes, there are more people than that around that child, but the parent or main caregiver, might maybe a grandparent, a foster carer, they set the tone. And if that child has experienced trauma or had a really tough time, that the way they respond to that child will affect how that child heals and grows and develops into their adult life.
So do parents engage you directly? Do schools engage you? How does it work?
Yes, often now. So I'll give you an example. My part of my journey was through, trialing, erroring, it's play. We try things. And I remember distinctly a mum coming to me and saying, I've had a separation with my partner a couple of years ago now. My son is now 4 or 5. No, he was 5 or 6. He's really having these massive anger outbursts. He hits me, he's running away, he's shouting, I only have a small flat, and it's just, I can't control him. And I'm feeling absolutely desperate and helpless. Please, can you spend some time with him? Please, can I send him to you for therapy? And I said to her, yes, you can send him to me. We can do some anger management. We could do some play therapy with him so he can just work out and process what he's going through, and we can develop some new strategies. Or I could work with you and give you some tools, because it will take me a good few sessions for him to just settle and get to know me first. So you'll pay for 8 sessions just for him to settle and then be able to do the core work, the deeper work. But if I give you some tools, maybe you want to try them out and see what happens. And she was like, as a single mom, let's save you some money here. Let's try this. And so we spent the first session. She told me about the behaviours. I gave her a few things to take away and try, some like power reversal play, for example, and ways to help him feel empowered and in control, because he doesn't feel in control. He couldn't control the fact that his mummy and daddy are not together. He can't, he's got all these big, strong emotions. And actually part of that is where he is developmentally. And it's like, how can I give the mum strategies to cope and not feel a complete failure? Let's hold him while he's going through these emotions. So gave her some tips. She came back and she's like, this started to work, and this. And I was like, yeah. And we did some more. When I tried this happened. Okay, let's just tweak this. How about these exercises? Try these games out. And she came back to me on the 3rd session. It's every 2 weeks. She came back to me on the 3rd session. She said, he's a transformed child. I can't tell you how different he is responding. And not only did she tell me that his behaviors had changed, but she told me that she was then taking what I had given her, these play ideas, and she had actually incorporated them and changed them to really suit his character, because she knows her child more than I do, right? I'd never met the boy. She started to develop, and it's like, wow, she has permission to play her way. And that is where my, strapline, permission to play your way, comes, because who am I? This is why I don't call myself a play coach, a parenting coach anymore. Who am I to tell you exactly how to parent your child, exactly how to speak to your child, exactly what they love, exactly? No, you know your child. Sometimes things can cloud our vision. Sometimes we need help, we need coaching in that area. Our mindset, our stress levels just completely blind us. I totally get that. But in a general sense of the word, I believe that it's about empowering them. We discover that play is incredibly powerful. We get enthused about play again by pausing to educate ourselves. And I do lots of pieces on this is how powerful play is. This is the optimum state that play can occur. And I'd love to talk about that, relaxation stuff. And then the actual strategies come. And once they learn a couple, they start growing and coming up with their own games and their own ways. And the actual child then starts to come up with ways that they love to play. And then the toolbox increases and they're off again. It's just incredible to see and incredible to watch. So this is where the pause, play, connect, flow came from. It's about, where do we want to end up? Well, we want to end up with parent and child or work colleague and you know, or manager and team connected, so that the team feels safe enough to come to them when there's a problem. So the child feels safe enough to come to that parent when there's a problem. So they feel safe enough to express their sadness, to express their anger. So that's the aim. We don't want the disconnect, which often occurs in teams and in parenting. But first, we have to pause. We have to pause, because play does not come naturally to us anymore, because we're that stressed. It should do. Play is a natural phenomenon. We do it from birth, yeah? And it's innate in us. However, we have to pause and say, where am I at right now? And where is my child at? How can we build connection here? And I'm just going to take that breath and pause so that I can think clearly and come up with some kind of solution here to get through.
When you explain it like that, Debbie, it sounds so obvious. You know, pause, play, connect. It's very, very simple and very, very strong visually as well. In the mind, you can just imagine just kind of relaxing and just chilling out. You mentioned a long word earlier on. For the benefit of the listeners, could you explain about the polyvagal
polyvagal theory?
Polyvagal theory, and the importance of the de-stressing, the relaxation part of all of this on the, you know, the nervous system.
Yeah, in essence, if people want to look it up, Stephen Porges, I think it is Porges, isn't it, developed this polyvagal theory. And it's about this relationship between the vagus nerves and how our body copes with stress, and the big connection between our brain and our nervous system is all connected. And this fight-flight response that often we hear about now is also there's also freeze. So there's fight, flight, and freeze response. And often our children and us will go into these stress responses. So when we're calm and relaxed, we can think clearly, we can play, we can reason. You know, I can actually spell when I'm relaxed. When I'm stressed, everything goes out the window. Yeah. I might freeze. I might just want to run away, or I might get really cross with you that you just asked me to spell a really difficult word and I can't do it. So yeah, it's about, I don't spend too much time going very deep and getting complex about this thing. Just as in attachment theory, we can go, oh, you've got avoidant attachment, or, you know, all these different kinds of attachment. Well, what are we aiming for here? We're aiming for secure attachment. That's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for that child to feel safe with that main caregiver, to feel noticed, to feel seen and safe and secure. And with polyvagal theory, with this, you know, balancing the autonomic nervous system, when our body feels safe and calm and regulated, then all the beautiful things can happen and we stay healthy. And this is why I love talking to you, because your whole area is, you know, how can we keep healthy? How can we keep well? It's all related to well-being. It's just I talk about it from a play perspective, and playfulness is an indicator of a calm and happy nervous system. Rigidity and depression, you know, fight-flight response sort of symptoms are indicators of a heightened nervous system.
Absolutely.
That was a very long, I don't know if that was clear enough.
Yes, yeah, super. So you mentioned you were a music teacher. So do you bring music into the play therapy that you do?
Yes, I did quite a lot when I was in the play therapy room. We had often a piano in the room, which was amazing. We had drums, but I've also worked with big community groups doing African drumming circles and big choirs. I went into Sony and did a whole choir project with their staff. So that was a lovely corporate project that we did. I think music is incredibly powerful, and I still use it as my therapy. I'll still go to the piano, sit down and play, and I can feel my body just starting to calm down again. Do you play any instruments?
I actually play the harmonica.
Oh, cool.
Yes, yeah. I don't admit that publicly very often, but yeah. And in fact, since I've lived in this house, which is only a few months, I've mislaid them. I've got a collection, and they're all together somewhere, and I can't
Oh
find
no.
them. And I went to get them the other day, and I'm thinking, where on earth have I put them? I know they're all safe because I've seen them since I've been here, but I can't for the life of me think where they are. A tune came on YouTube the other day, and I thought, oh, I used to play that tune. Oh, and then that's when I
Oh,
realised that I hadn't got them to hand. So, and I can still remember how to play the recorder from school.
nice.
But there's
Yeah.
nothing, there's no pianos or anything. I used to play the violin until I got thrown out of class. In my day, we had ink bottles, and for some reason, I carried my ink bottle round at school in my violin case, and I fell over in the playground, and my ink bottle burst open on the violin, and I think
Oh
they were
no.
looking for an excuse to throw me out of the lesson anyway, and that was it. So
Oh,
there
that's a
we are.
sad story.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yeah.
played violin. I did lots of violin and used to write string arrangements, and I
Ah,
still
fabulous.
dig it out now and then. But singing, harmonica, wind instruments, they're fantastic because they really help with your breath work and regulating your breathing and controlling your breath. It is a lovely way of calming the nervous system down, because we know there's a massive correlation, isn't there, between you know oxygen levels and
Yes,
and dissipating that cortisol. So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. When I had my stage 4 cancer, I learned the Buteyko method of breathing, which is nose breathing.
Yeah.
And that's breathing, for the benefit of the listeners, closing the mouth, breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, and then pausing. And in that
Mm,
pause, that's where the carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange happens, and the body gets flooded with oxygen, and oxygen kills cancer. So it's a
mm,
really useful way to bring down bring everything calmer, and increase the oxygen at the same time. So yeah, I'm all
mm.
for breathing exercises.
I- I'd also love to add at this point as well that play, I say you don't have to act like a clown to be playful. Play can be a calming activity as well. Like, some people will crochet or sort buttons out, or, you playing some even like digital games. When you're gaming, there's some beautiful games out there. I love playing something called Ori, which is this lovely fantasy game, this little character that goes along, and the music, the
Mm.
soundtrack to these new games are beautiful. You've got harps playing and strings, and you're just sitting there going, oh. So but yes, you get shoot 'em ups and fighting games and FIFA and all these kind of things where you can feel your shoulders coming up and you
Mm.
get stressed. But play can be relaxing. Swinging has been clinically proven. It's massively researched that the benefit of swinging is like you're being rocked as a baby. It goes right back to that absolute primal sort of actions. And one of my teenagers was struggling with loud noises. Suddenly over the pandemic, she got very sensitive to loud noises. She's like, oh mummy, never been like that before. And my friend, who's an occupational therapist who specializes in sensory needs, said, get a yoga swing, get her to swing, go upside down and swing. And so, sure enough, in a matter of days, she was no longer complaining about the noise, and it had really helped, and she still uses it to this day.
Wow. Now that would make me throw up. Any form of movement like that. So we're all different, aren't we?
Oh,
At the end of the day, we need to know what
100%.
suits us.
Absolutely. And that goes back to permission to play your way and not comparing yourself to someone else. And, people say, oh, you're so calm, Debi. Like, how do you get? I'm not.
Mm.
I get very excited at times. I get very angry at times. And I think we can compare ourselves to others, and it just kills the joy.
Mm.
And joy and play are very, very, very close together. So, so instead of comparing ourselves, just pause, and it's like, I have permission to play my way. I have permission to do my business in my way. I have permission to form my own daily routine that suits me. And I love what you're saying there about just having that flexibility and not stuck in rigidity.
So that's where you mentioned earlier on about the parents. The parents know the individual children, and you might have a parent might have 2 or 3 children, and they can then adopt what you're teaching them to each individual child, with permission. Fabulous.
Absolutely, yeah. And it works for all ages. So it's wonderful. I had the privilege of working with some teenagers on the edge of care for a year and a half recently who were severely struggling. You know, we're talking about running away from home, taking drugs, child to parent violence, you know, at risk of leaving the home and being put into care. And play, again, worked with them. Finding things that they loved to play was a way of building connection, a way of helping them to feel safe with you so that you could communicate something or help them with something. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I noticed that PlayHealing is a CIC, Community Interest Company. So why did you set it up in that format?
Well, the wonderful thing about being a CIC, it's a little bit like a charity. So I can apply for pots of money. And this year I've just signed, literally today was the 5th person to say yes, they want to come onto the advisory board, which is very exciting. I have some incredible people coming on board just as an advisory board, but it means that I can apply for pots of money and do some projects like the one I've just been doing in Poland. With this pause, play, connect model, we realize that it's really easy to translate, and it works with parents in high stress situations. So whether that's at KPMG working sort of 60, 70-hour weeks and then trying to juggle family life, or parents who've just been displaced and had to flee from war. If I came in with my 6-week parenting program, they'd tell me to F off, you know? Why on earth would that help a parent in crisis? But if I came with a really simple 3-word model, that's something that we can offer. And so we did. And I literally took 1,000 flyers and 1,000 feathers. And I've got a couple here left over. These are the flyers that we took over to Poland. And they're all in Ukrainian. They've got the pause, play, connect. It says pause, play, connect. Pauza is pause in Ukrainian. It had a little picture of me. And so I could go, this is me. I'm not a freak, really. I'm a therapist. And then I could open it up and offer them a feather. And I would show them 3 or 4 games and activities they could play just using 1 feather. And that feather could then be taken, put in their pocket, taken anywhere they ended up. And it's a beautiful symbol of that transition and that flight. It seemed to really resonate with these families. And the other thing you can do with this feather is do some mindfulness and some breath work. So one of the activities was focusing on that feather, putting all your attention on it, and doing some breathing exercises and seeing the effect of your breath on that feather. And these are families that need little tools like that to help their children right now come out of these PTSD symptoms. It's not going to completely fix everything, but it's a tool, it's a start, it's a little step in the right direction. And I'm passionate about saying to big corporations, yes, it's great to go and bring in food and shelter. We need these things. And people say, why play? Well, play it's the child's natural language. It's the way they communicate. And if we can help them through play to regulate their nervous systems, they will get their appetite back. If we're stressed, we lose our appetite, so they won't be able to eat anything anyway. If we help them to laugh and feel nurture, feel that touch, that nurturing touch again, they will feel seen, safe, understood, heard, and they will then start to be able to move forward and come out of that shock.
What was it that drew you to implementing the Feather Project in Poland? Why Poland? You could have chosen any country. There's so much, war-torn disasters all over the world.
Yeah, there are. Well, I was on my own and I'd been to Poland once before. I'd been there. I have 2 friends in Poland, and I flew out there and then drove to Warsaw from their home because it was something I could do quickly. And I'd also, well, basically someone saw some of my material on LinkedIn. I was doing some material for another charity saying, these are some therapeutic things that you can put in a box for the Ukrainian refugees coming over to the UK. And we're welcoming them. They were making these play boxes up, and I was saying, think about these things to put in there to help them recover. And someone saw that material, say, I'm out in Warsaw right now. It's really tough out here. You've got thousands of families stuck in this big centre waiting to travel to Spain or Greece or other places, but they're just stuck here, and they need someone like you to come and just help them and show them some play strategies. And being a little CIC, we can be agile. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do something that's very simple, something that I can do just on my own to trial this and prove what I feel is going to work. And then we can maybe take it further. And we raised money in 7 or 10 days, had some really generous donors. I flew over there, drove down and did 4 days there, working with, they were literally hundreds and hundreds of beds. And instead of being in the play centres that they'd set up for the children, yes, I could have had a wonderful time with the children and done some lovely play projects, but then I would have left again. And what I'm passionate about is giving the parents the tools, because they are going to be with those children for life. Children do not need practitioners coming in, having a nice jolly time and then leaving again. Let's equip the parents with these tools that will last for the lifetime.
I think it's a great concept, absolutely great concept, and you can reach so many more people, as you say, for a lifetime. How does this work translate into the workplace then, Debi?
It's a really good question. We've touched on it a little bit, haven't we, about this stress response. And I don't know about you, you were in the corporate sector. I've had some really stressful jobs. I remember the hours I used to do as a teacher, for example. And when we are stressed, our whole body is affected. And so when I go into these corporations, I talk about the effect of stress and how that pausing piece is so vital. And so I do wellbeing programs based on, the ability to play, reclaiming that feeling of playfulness. Everyone wants to feel playful and joyful and happy. But sometimes we just don't know how. We feel so stuck. We don't know what the first step is. So I break things down and we start from scratch and we say, okay, right now we don't feel playful. We're stressed, we're juggling all of these things, but let's incentivize ourselves. Let's look at the benefits of play. Let's look at how this can affect our relationship with our child, for example, because if you're stressed out at home and you've got loads of arguments going on, or your child's suffering with an eating disorder or something like that, that's going to affect your ability to do a great job in the workplace. That's going to affect your ability to focus, to, produce incredible work effectively and get on with others. You're just going to feel disconnected within your body, and it then causes disconnect within team members. So it's looking at this holistically, and it's really, looking at the company culture and serving each company individually. But in general, we do work on the pausing piece first, mindfulness, breath work, all those kinds of things. And then the play starts to happen naturally, and they find ways to play their way.
I can just imagine some very sceptical comments that you would receive going into corporates, telling people just basically to stop, because that's not natural corporate behaviour.
No.
So do you get resistance?
No, because I talk about micro moments. And I think that's what we do. That's where we start. We start with micro moments of connection, just a lovely bit of eye contact, a smile. You can also do micro moments of pausing, just hand on heart. I've just developed, we're just getting the delivery next week, these pause tattoos. And I've got like this pause outline on my wrist today. And sometimes even as adults, we need little tiny tools like this, a little reminder. I used to put just 2 lines on there, just to remember to have that screen break for a couple of seconds, or go and have that glass of water, or just turn away from the computer. You know, the little things that you can start to incorporate into your day that make you, you know, help you to focus, help you to do a great job. And we also talk about, you know, how we can use play when we're in a video call. I can be squishing some sensory dough while I'm on a call with you. You wouldn't know, but it would really help me to regulate. So just little things like that.
Cool. And do you actually take games into the corporate world, or do you sort of do imaginary games and things like you say, with the eye contact, the pausing, the breathing? I get that you can do all those easily, but do you, I mean, would you take a feather into a corporate wellbeing talk, for example?
It really does depend. I think there's something really powerful about experiencing what it's like for the child, or experiencing what it's like for each other. And when you find an activity that gets everyone laughing, for example, and things, the whole atmosphere, the whole energy in that place changes. And a lot of the stuff is still virtual, because companies love the fact that they can pay a speaker to come in and they can speak to 3,000 people at the same time. So there's a lot of the time I'm doing this kind of work virtually, but it's incredible how the feedback and the testimonials I get saying, you know, just finding out about the science behind play, the neuroscience behind play, and just those examples you gave me of the things I could do when I get home, how I can engage with my child. I tried them out and this happened. And they're feeling happy. They're feeling better about themselves and more empowered. And then you get this upward spiral. It's just really exciting stuff.
It must be really rewarding for you as well when you get testimonials like that back, particularly from the parents.
Yeah, it really is. But again, younger teams, they love to play, and there are some companies out there that play, you know, it forms a massive part of their culture, and they are generally places that employees want to stay. Yes. And play affects staff retention. The only warning, disclaimer I would say is play for one person is not play for another. And you don't want some manager coming in. This is why we have to be really sensitive. You don't want a manager going, right, everyone, let's all go to the pub every week, and or let's all play double before a meeting, or let's all do this, let's all do that. It's like, pause. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Where are people at right now? Oh, she's just lost her mum. Okay. And this person's struggling with her daughter, and this person's a new starter. She doesn't, hasn't found her voice yet. Let's just let's pause.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Fascinating. How do people get hold of you, Debi?
Well, I've got the website playhealing.com, which has links to my corporate work, my parenting work, and the podcast Play Healing Parent Podcast. And I'm also on social media. All the links are from the website, playhealing.com. But I'm Play Healing Official on Instagram. I like to be on Instagram, starting TikTok, and really LinkedIn. So I'll give you my LinkedIn to put in the show notes if you'd like. But it's been so lovely having a chat with you. And my direct email, if people have some questions or concerns, or want to just ask me about the behaviours that they're witnessing at home, you can get in touch, Debi@playhealing.com, DEBI.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Debi, for your time this evening and for everything that you do to help parents and change the world.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.